fairly long train, too.
Yeah.
Woo, woo, I hear that train a-coming.
Or train I ride, 60 coaches long.
Yeah.
Or, anyway. Gonna ride a blue train.
I hear that train a-coming, coming around the bend.
That lonesome sound of a train rolling by makes me want to stop and cry. All right, there's the end of the train.
Little red caboose.
All
Okay.
right, now we're back to the story.
Okay. So,
this is around 1960. You and Dad.
it was 1960. We had just got married.
Okay.
Yeah. And like I said, this gal wanted me to record this thing, and it kind of went like,
And what was her name again?
her name was Joanne Boucher.
Okay. And
She said, why don't you do this demo for Patsy Cline? So I did. And you want to know how it goes again?
Yeah.
Okay. The records keep spinning around and around, and the days and the nights disappear. You're back in my arms, your voice in my ear, and we're singing the same old love song. I don't remember much else. I love you, with all of my heart. That's all I can remember.
All right. That's good.
Well, I don't think Patsy would have done it even if she did hear it. So,
Well, you never know.
you know,
That could have been her biggest hit.
I don't think so. But it was fun. We had a lot of fun. That's the same.
So who wrote that song?
I don't know. Maybe she did.
Oh.
I wasn't into songwriters then, so I don't have any idea.
Have you ever been over to the crash site in Camden? Patsy's crash site?
No.
We need to go down there one of these days.
Yeah, I've never been there.
I've been over there. I cried a little bit. You know,
Yeah, I
left
think
a-
you wrote something about it on Facebook one
left a
time.
guitar pick. That was before Loretta passed.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
They were big buds, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, trying to think what else happened in
Oh,
that house.
show that side. This is flood damage from when we had the Waverly flood. It just, I mean, it was bad.
Well, if we find any more on the way out.
Yeah, it's
too.
we passed most of it. Most of it got cleaned up already. But anyway, for anybody that was interested in that portion of this, there was a flood a couple of years ago that wiped out half our town. And, it was real bad. Anyway, okay, back to the story.
Okay.
Sorry, Mom.
That's okay. I'm trying to think of what else.
I'm a tree talker, so like
Just
Bob's.
like your dad.
Yep.
Well, that's the house, the first house we lived in, where his guitar player, his name was J.B. Russell. Big old tall guy that wore those really thick glasses, with black frames.
Yep.
And I remember him, J.B. and some other musician came in and reached right over me. I was in bed with your dad, reached right over me and grabbed him, told him to get his ass up. So that he did, and they went picking. That was pretty funny. What's even funnier was after a big party, your dad went in the bathroom and came out stark naked. That was hilarious.
How many
Anyway,
people were there?
Oh my God, I don't know. Probably a dozen. Just in and we had nothing but musicians around all the time. All the time.
Yeah, he always did. I remember some pretty crazy parties when I was a little kid,
Yeah. Oh, I bet you do.
8, 9 years old when we lived in Bellingham in the trailer park there at 505 West Bakerview.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so skip forward a little bit. So that was 60.
That was 1960.
And then what happened?
Well, let's see. Then we moved, and that's when Gino started hanging around. He was about, I don't know how old. He was just a young kid, 13, 14. Started hanging around, and your dad got him a guitar, and he just started showing him a few chords, and then showed him how, kind of like I did with you, I'd sit there and play the rhythm, and you'd pick out the tune, you know.
Yeah.
That's the way Gino started.
So Dad's told a story, and I don't remember if I ever got this, but that Uncle Gene tried to stow away when you guys moved to California.
I don't remember that.
He said he like snuck in the car or something and got caught.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't remember that. I was busy with you or with Autry, and you know.
Yeah, it would have been with Autry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Autry was about 15 months old.
When you guys moved?
We moved in 1963. Yeah. May of 1963.
You moved to California, May of 1963.
Yeah, your dad thought it was 65, but it was 63.
Okay.
And my brother Daryl went with us, and so they, you know, switch off driving. Had this 59 beautiful blue Cadillac. We had our bass fiddle, a big bass fiddle, a playpen. I don't know where all. We left just about everything we owned. Pictures on the wall, curtains, furniture, a freezer, just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
whatever we could get in that Cadillac was what we took.
Yeah, Dad had a tendency to do that when we would move. He would just,
Every place we moved.
yeah, he always left everything behind and just moved forward.
Yeah, and we
Never thought about the past.
lived a lot of places.
Yeah.
So we lost a lot of stuff, but yeah, your dad wasn't real sentimental about things.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I know.
At least not, you know, these kind of things. I think the only thing he was sentimental about was his kids and his music, but he didn't care much for material things.
Well,
I wouldn't say that as instruments, you know.
yeah. Well, what I'm wondering is, because I remember Dad saying something about Gino trying to stow away with you guys, and I remember Uncle Daryl was helping drive.
Right.
I remember him telling me that. But when did Gino move to California?
It was, let me think. I was pregnant with Lynette in 64.
She was born in 64. So
Yeah, born 64, and he was there in that same little house. And we didn't stay any place more than a year, so it had to be
63.
64, maybe
Early
65, early 65.
Well, Lynette was born in 64. So if you were pregnant with Lynette, then that would have been late 63, early 64.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't know exactly, but he was still just a kid, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think he was doing well in school, and my dad was more than happy to send him out to California. And I'm glad he did.
That's my Uncle Gino. So.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Gene was, I don't know, he turned out to be a great guitar picker.
Oh, great guitar player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I had more recordings of him. We've got a few. I mean, I've got all the early stuff, and he just, his tone, his feel, his touch on the guitar back in the 60s, like the stuff at the Tropics.
Yeah.
Everything from like 69, 70. I mean, it's really good. And I hear some stuff, there's some stuff that I hear that sounds really Clarence White-like.
Oh, really?
Like very close to Clarence White picking. So I don't know if he was like, because you guys were all playing the same places back then.
Right.
You know, all the Clarence White, and all the, you know, all of the music scene in LA, everybody was kind of co-mingling with everybody else, and they were all kind of getting into country, and you guys were kind of already in the middle of all that too. Well, you were in the middle of all that. So.
Yeah. Well, it's all we did.
So it's pretty funny to hear that Cleat song, that, you know, that hippies the hippies country song. You know, and they broke into the Wildwood Flower and Good Old Mountain Dew and all those songs, because it's, you know, I mean, I can totally see that, because all those guys that were hanging out, they were all country boys that turned into, like, you know,
that's
country
true.
rock guys.
Gosh, we played so many places. in California. The first one, we drove all the way to Needles
Wow.
and
that's
played a
drive.
gig there. There's a picture of, you probably got that picture. Cleet was with us, Uncle Gene, and I don't remember even having a drummer.
Yeah, there's a lot of pictures you didn't have a drummer. Do you remember the name of that place?
No, I don't.
Where was the Woods Restaurant? Where was that at?
It's in El Monte,
That was
California. Right.
in El Monte. Okay. Because Dad talked a lot about El Monte and going to, like, him and Jimmy Bryant,
Oh, did he?
like, hanging out and going to clubs, like going to all the black clubs, the jazz clubs, and catching all the jazz pickers and stuff. And I got Dad on tape talking about smoking weed back then, which is
Yeah, you know, that's funny because when we moved up north, the first house we lived in, he actually talked the landlady into letting him put down carpet, put up a wall, a big window,
yeah.
make a booth, you know, recording booth, change the whole damn house.
Yeah.
And there was a guy another musician named, oh God, I had his name now, I forgot it. Vern Gibson.
Okay. Yeah.
And he smoked weed. And your dad threw him out of the house.
Was it Vern Gibson or Vern Gosden?
No, it wasn't Vern Gosden.
Because I know that he's talked about Vern and his brother too. Well, and Vern Gosden was a weed smoker.
No,
so
I'm sure it wasn't. But anyway,
I don't know if I should have said that, but everybody probably already knows by now. Anyway.
Oh yeah, what the heck.
Anybody that knew Vern Gosden.
Well, you know, most musicians did smoke weed or took pills. Everybody I knew took pills.
Yeah.
They all had cross tops, you know, yellow jackets or something, including me. I tried it,
Yeah.
and it was great. I didn't want to quit picking. You know, it's on the bandstand, you think, oh no, the night's over.
Yeah, I went through that phase when I was about 19, and we were playing Bob's Tavern.
Oh yeah.
Towards the end of us playing at Bob's Tavern, somebody got us some cross tops, and I had found the one thing that made me want to keep playing all night long. And luckily, I stopped doing that crap after a friend of mine came over, and he had just got back from a tour in Canada, and it looked like he hadn't eaten in 3 weeks. He was kind of a pudgy guy when he left, and when he came back, he was skin and bones. He's like, do you have anything to eat, like bologna or anything? And
Oh my
I
gosh.
said, man, I've got some bologna, but the top piece is like moldy. He's like, I don't care. And he ate the other pieces of bologna.
Oh, good Lord.
But yeah, he was living on cross tops, you know. just
Like I said, every musician I knew took them. And
Yeah.
then when you couldn't get them, you could actually go to a doctor and just tell him, you know, I'm a musician and I have to have something to help me at night, and they'd give you legal pills
Yeah.
for years, you know.
There's one story Dad told, and I think I've got it on tape, of him and little Jimmy Dickens, and I believe Cowboy Copas. And they were eating bennies, and Cowboy Copas had a reaction to them.
Oh, really?
They were somewhere going to a gig somewhere, and he had a reaction to them. They were in Texas, and Dad reached back and he opened up his button-down shirt and ripped it open. He said, we got to get him to the hospital. He's having a reaction. And Dickens said, hell no, you ain't taking him to the hospital. I can just see it now. Little Jimmy Dickens busted in Texas for dope.
Oh, jeez.
I got to find that tape. I've got that on tape.
The
These
only
are the things we need to touch back on when I finally get, you know, when we can sit down and well, some of those are going to be earlier than you guys meet.
Yeah.
But
Well, like when he was in Justana City, and he had a half-hour TV show in Justana City, Texas.
Dad had a TV show?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
you didn't?
No.
That was when I first met him. Yeah.
I knew he had radio shows in Arkansas, and he had there was one in Benton, Arkansas,
Well,
and he had a radio show, and that was in 1955, and he had a radio show at KXLA in Pasadena in in 1954
Oh,
because he moved to Arkansas in 1955.
okay. No, he told me he had a half-hour TV show.
That could have been in 53, maybe?
I have no idea. I
that's-
didn't meet him till 60, so I don't
See,
know.
that's when he was going out with Betty Frizzell, too.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that story.
Yeah. Probably
Yeah.
ought to not tell that.
Well, there's probably a few stories about your dad that I wouldn't tell either.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, but I've got that one on tape too, because he's talking about the whole family and Lefty and David Frizzell and
God, he
her
knew
brother.
everybody. He
Yeah,
stayed.
and he said he knew the whole family. He was over there all the time. So.
Oh, imagine.
Anyway,
He stayed with the Browns while he was there, too.
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like
Wherever,
Jim,
I don't know
those
where.
Browns?
Jim Ed, Maxine, and Bonnie.
Really?
And I think he kind of had the hots for Bonnie. Not Maxine was not as refined looking and pretty as Bonnie was.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
yeah.
he picked right when he picked you, Mom.
Oh, gee, thanks, Dad. I'm glad he did, because I wouldn't have you.
Yeah, I'm glad he did too.
Oh, man. Your dad was something else.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some others.
Well, we need to save some of this for when I can actually sit down with you
All right.
and go over
All right.
all of this
Go with it.
with the actual tapes of Dad, the interviews that I did with Dad.
Okay.
And some of those interviews, Autry's there too. So Autry's asking him questions, or
Oh.
there's all three of us when we were sitting in the studio in like 2003, I believe.
Oh,
And
gosh. Yeah.
He was starting to get to the point where he wasn't able to remember as well.
Your
so
dad?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That he couldn't remember his own damn songs from the get-go.
Well,
I don't know about
yeah, but he can
anything
remember
else.
everybody's name in the whole bar.
Yeah, that's true.
From 50 years back, he could recall everybody's name, which is a
And he
gift.
knew everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, he told me about Jimmy Dickens one time. You know how Jimmy Dickens always kind of turned his whole body?
Yep.
Dad said he used to stretch his neck out for him. Sit behind him and
Pull it up.
kind of like a
Relief.
chiropractor would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that because I know they toured together for a while.
Yeah, like I said, he knew everybody.
It's funny, Dad, I don't know if Dad ever told you this story or if I told you this story, but Dad was at, this was like a year and a half, 2 years before he passed. But he was at Tootsie's, up in the back room at Tootsie's, and by the time Dad would get from his apartment at the James Robertson building on the corner of 7th and Broadway in Nashville, by the time he would walk down there, people started buying him drinks at Legends Corner, and then he'd make it to the second fiddle. Somebody else would buy him a drink.
Oh,
He'd
my
get
God.
by the time he'd get to Tootsie's, he was already kind of half lit, and he always drank whiskey doubles,
Yeah. He liked his whiskey.
and he was up in the back room, and it ain't the first time this happened, but he was up in the back room of Tootsie's, and he fell down drunk, like right by the back door. And Dickens was at the Opry at the Ryman, and this was not all that long ago. It was like 2007, I think, something like that. And little Jimmy Dickens came through the back door, and he said, he reached down and picked him up and said, "Forrest Lee, I ain't seen you in 50 years, and I'm still picking your drunk ass up." So,
Wow.
probably longer than that, 60 years probably.
Yeah, a long time. Yeah.
I think Jimmy Snyder was playing the back room that day. You remember Jimmy Snyder? He was
Just the name.
He was a California guy too.
It's just the name.
He would have been really young when you guys
Yeah, I don't know.
were out there. But everybody in Nashville over the last 20 years, Jimmy Snyder was like the king of Broadway there for a while.
Is your dad's is the picture or his album, whatever it was, still at Tootsie's?
I don't know. I never saw it.
Well, it was there because I saw it.
How long ago was that?
Oh my God. I don't know. First time. I've only been to Tootsie's once.
What year?
I don't know.
60s?
Oh no, it wasn't that far back. It was, you know where the wall is going upstairs?
Oh, his album's on the wall at Legends Corner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But he said he had a poster on the wall at Tootsie's too from way back.
Well, I don't remember going to Legends Corner, but I remember seeing, I must have, because I remember seeing that.
Yeah, that When I Hold You.
Yeah.
You know, Forrest
Yeah.
Athletes do. Yeah.
You know, he had an offer, he told me, to just stay in Nashville, get an apartment, and all he had to do was write songs. And I guess that wasn't for him, because he likes to get out and entertain.
Yeah.
So that didn't go anywhere.
When was that?
Oh, that was
In the
before
70s?
I met him.
Huh? When
That
you
was
met him?
Before I met him.
Oh. I don't know. He was a hell of a songwriter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and having the Flat and Scruggs cut. My
When
Little
I
Sweetheart.
always, oh, My Little Sweetheart.
Little Sweetheart from the Mountains. Yeah, that one. And Fallen Star Waltz.
Oh,
Jim Reeves. So he had a
Okay.
couple of cuts, but so I can see that happening.
yeah, I just don't think he, like I said, he didn't want to be stuck in one place, do nothing but write. He had to get out to the public because he liked the entertainer part of it.
No, he was a hell of an entertainer, that's for sure.
He's a great entertainer. Well, he recognized everybody that came in, whatever club he was working in, made him feel, you know, really special when you call out their name. You
Yeah.
know?
And that built a crowd, and that crowd
Yep.
keeps coming back to see you and pack out the bars. And
Oh, yeah.
that's he's always done it. We always had good crowds. When I remember setting records at the Palms many times, like way more people than the fire marshal would allow in there.
Right. Well,
It
he did the
seated
same.
454, and we had 500 people in there every night.
Well, we had a lot of them at the Ponderosa and at Soft Sam's. Matter of fact, he built the bandstand at Soft Sam's.
Yeah, he did that at the Naughty Pine in Bellingham too.
Oh, did he?
Yep, I remember. I was a little kid. It's like 77, I think, 78.
He even got his doctor, or Dr. Suker, would come
Oh,
to Soft Sam's. Yeah. It was a lot of fun back in those days.
all right, Mom. Up here, I don't know if you knew this or not, but as soon as we
That's
get
where
close
you
to
guys,
it- yep,
where's it at?
it's right in front of this store up here. It was called something else, but now it's called Scott's Market. You can see it up here on the right.
Oh,
where
that one.
big billboard is.
Yeah, okay.
And Cheryl, she said she saw those apartments on the left, so she fell asleep. She fell asleep right about here, and we went off the road into that ditch,
Oh,
and
man.
we launched off of that, and we landed right here.
Oh my gosh, that's a long ways.
Yeah. Well, she was probably hauling ash. She was probably going about 60, 65 miles an hour. The guy behind us said we shot about 30 feet straight up in the air. But anyway, that's where I broke my back. For anybody.
I just about broke the hose.
That's okay. Anyway, we're in Dixon. We should probably turn it off at this point.
Okay.
Anyway.